Hate means that there's a part of your experience in which you are not comfortable with, and so you must change external reality. When this occurs in the presence of others, you will, if you choose to get angry and change your externality, you will see that it's as if mindlessly you are changing things that have been going for a long time. In other words, it's as if life is doing its thing and your interruption based on your lack of awareness is creating difficulty for you and anything else. We must dissolve into an awareness of the simplicity that is found now. And this simplicity does not need to create someone to hate, does not need to create someone to love, but needs to be aware of the presence that's keeping it. So if we were to look at where love comes from as a concept, perhaps we could see it is something that is found in creation. It is an existential love. We love to live. We love to exist. These are profound aspects of man's self-observance. And so in doing so, you will see that hate is never helpful because it still doesn't have a conscious answer. You're still in the limited lack of awareness. Anytime you're hating something or acting very rationally or in a sense violent, it's because you don't have information. That's simply it. Self-awareness is information about the self, knowing where you are, knowing your dimensions of experience. When you don't know your dimensions of experience, you will seem to think that you're only here and you will not care about others and the way they are. You know, you only care about the way you are because that is what's real for you. It's the responsibility of every human being to try to understand his fellow man. In other words, we must find Mr. Within to see that we're all the same, but at the same time, very distinctly able, as if me and you are found existing in the same existential platform, but at the same time, we have different intentions in the sense that we were designed based on the fluctuations of our environment and how we receive it. My communication is reaching your ears now simply because I have made certain words real enough for me to learn a language. And as I have learned this language, I have observed the meaning of these words and to see how much does my state of being affect my understanding and grasp of language, terminology, ideology, what is behind and beyond these structures, what is within that sense of you that thinks it's individual enough to know things. How do you know things? How do you not know things? And these questions are not here to, in a sense, just bring it and just begin asking right away. These questions are ones that need to become real for you in your own way. What that means is you don't ask what life means if you're still, if you're doing your own thing. If these questions are not real for you, you will see that it is in your own exploration of what you mean for yourself that new meanings can be, in a sense, revealed in your understanding. Because the concept of a treasure revealer is one that is very close to me, and it is the understanding that treasure revealers must be observant beyond the condition. You maintain this and there will be no flaw, for you're always beyond that individual consciousness. You're aware of the collective that is keeping you. And with a simple breath, see that all that is kept can in an instant be taken away. And all that is taken away in an instant can be given. We are at first raised to be an individual human form, associating as a form. As you begin to understand what presence means, moving from the structures of your personality, from all those ideas that you think you are, you begin to see experience has ways where once this individuality engaged in an observance of itself, it dissolves into the collective happening that is already happening. So it's as if that point you are beginning to figure things out, and you're like, okay, wait a minute, let me see, I think I got it, am I clear? And right when a second where you think you've lost it, suddenly it comes back to you and you realize, oh my God, life knows what it's doing. It's only me who I thought I didn't. And so in your trust in life, your vision will enhance in the sense that it's already expansive. Everything that you are to see here, or you're going to discover here, is already here. And I'm not talking about forms limited in space and time. Your reception and awareness of things can be one where your free will is not free for an individual body, but it is the observance of all bodies. It's that moment where it's as if your reception is a creative process where you are both receiving as creation and expressing as creator. What Meister Eckhart playfully said is that the same eyes that he sees God are the same eyes that God sees him. There is also the eyes of the unknown observance that is keeping everything present. This observance is your presence. It's a very interesting concept when you've been looking for presence externally and you suddenly realize it's an internal understanding. An internal understanding is one where time and space are not filtering the reception of information. There has been times where I've walked around and I've thought also that I've been a certain terminal, a certain person who's about to do a certain thing, and suddenly my moment has revealed to me that all illusions are ones that are being kept, in the sense that truth needs to be a certain solidified form in a certain range of awareness. That is not truth. That is man's way of satisfying himself, just like how consumerism has made people go buy and try to make their external conditions satisfactory. It's a good thing. I mean, I'm happy technology has evolved in the external reality, but it's as if people have come to different lands also in regards to dimension. It's as if certain of us are still in our internal experience, and a certain amount of us have just come into our externality in the sense that we are choosing to be an individual, to not create an individual world or a better individual world, but to see that we are the creator of our individual experience. Sometimes you come into this life not for the individual body. If your moment is aware, your body actually is just as valuable as everything, but also in a second as transient and as temporal as everything. So when I look at the beauty of the body, I think of our great potential in engineering and how we can be inspired by natural law. And I also see that a body is something, but we need to have the seriousness and ferocity of, I guess, the Zen master and cultivating the concept, or trying to learn from the concept that we all die. Death is no joke, but at the same time, it's funny because it's as if your whole life you're living for something which is going to fade. So I don't understand why everyone's not laughing, we're crying. However, it is very important to see that you are a multidimensional designer and a creator in the sense that you are aware of your creation. So the minute you, for example, have a kid, you communicate to that kid and you become aware of it. So just by creating something does not mean that you're that. There's a bridge between worlds just because you're created. It's how you observe your creation to then, with your intention that is authentically and naturally the flow of your intuition into your externality, seeing that life is life regardless of you wanting to change the external world, but your awareness of your life is where your freedom exists. freedom is in awareness. Because if I suddenly turn off the lights, it seems there is not even the freedom to see the door. But when you turn on the lights, the freedom is simply how you are observant enough to flow in a certain moment. And in a sense, all moments, the moment is the most fascinating thing, if I can say that. A moment of existence is a human being who is present, but also choosing to be, taking that role to be an individual being from the whole cosmos to look at and to look through based on the ability that is collectively present. For some years we will go into this vague arena where it's as if we will be excited about talking about a new dimensional experience, but we won't know how to talk about it. It's very important that we evolve culture by introducing new images and having every human being who's had an experience beyond their limitation to communicate that. You must see that your limitations are being accepted by you. You know how similarly you go to a store and you're like, I like this item, I don't like this item. Well, one item you don't like, you've thought that you're stuck with it. You must see that you are choosing the hands of the keeper. Multidimensionality simply suggests how we, as a moment of being, are observing beyond the immediate information we're getting. So regardless of what I say, you still have the awareness of all the things you know, in which you are comparatively listening to my talk. And this is all being done naturally. You see, the mind, its intelligence has figured things out. It's like man doesn't need to measure so small to go then do things which his intuition, his natural intelligence is doing. A lot of problems in which we are wasting our time paying for tools for are actually things in which we in our awareness to self can heal and give ourselves that understanding. You must understand that at first it's not clear. In my life it was very elusive. And when I say elusive, it's because I didn't know there was something else. I just believed that was my reality, these are the values, and this is it. And based on how good of a problem solver I am, I can use the information that I've received, which some of it I'm not even updating, and then just to see who I am, what am I, how I feel. It's an arrogant thing to be such a vast, complex, multidimensional process and trying to individually walk. I mean, as a self-aware experiencer, you exist as nothing, for you exist beyond the level of knowledge which your apprentice can receive. Your apprentice is also too kept by your vision, because creator and creation were the dynamics of how self and other were made aware of to then be found never meaning what they did. In other words, you see their first beginning duality, that where you were self and you considered other, was flawed. And everything that you've been thinking you're doing, or all the knowledge, or all the things you've been learning, has been fueling this immediate duality where a sense of you considered an other beyond its capacity, beyond. So that's when you lost sight of your internal dimensions, when you saw that it was real for you to only be an objective relationship. And of course this is something that can be, but if that becomes the only thing that is real for you, you will feel not satisfied. Because do you want to be a human being that I'm saying you're this, you're this, you're this, or do you want to be a human being that is undefinable because there are greater dimensions to you? That is simply what I'm telling you. Because you can see the guru can save you, help you so far, but the guru is a temporal being too. The person who's giving you the wisdom is temporal, and so it is your understanding of how much you value your sense of existence in which you will explore it. If you feel your life has nothing to offer, of course your routines are going to be the same routines, and it's not going to be complete. Completion requires an understanding of the incomplete. In other words, how can I be a bad person if I have not even seen or heard the concept of bad? You see, you're still a person, but your creativity in regards to reality is different. This difference can, at times, give you a freedom beyond measure, and at other times simply make you clearly see why you chose that measurement. You know? Sometimes our external lives get so hectic that we think we shouldn't even pursue an external reality. But in actuality, you are here to be and to do certain external things. So regardless of how much you think, you know, that your time here is enough, I mean, there are, of course, certain exceptions, but those exceptions happen in certain realities, which I will talk about later. For example, yogis and mystics, and those people who will consciously leave their body. But when I say consciously leave their body, there is an illusion. So there, it's still a bit hollow. It's not as clear. So again, it's for another talk. The conscious leaving of the body. However, I would like to carry on and tell you that you are within a life process. You have an awareness to as above, and as you look as above and you look at you look at the structure of an atom and you see so below. As above, so below. So you exist in one dimension of presence where certain things are real in a certain way, but you also are seeing how things being real in this way are also real in everything else. So the same life that you see in yourself, you see in other people as well. They're alive too. And so our culture and societies have tried to acknowledge life in such a way. But life is something where we have both objective views on and subjective views. So if I give you an apple, there's the actuality of the apple being in the room, but also in your mind you might be like, gosh, is this Newton's apple? Oh God, you know, is this apple, you know, clean or whatever? Is this apple an apple? You know. Man introduces himself to mankind, and when he does, it is very important that he is self-aware and existentially responsible. Being existentially responsible means that as life forms, we take care of the form of life, not by our own individual, let's say, critique as an idea, but our collective awareness and sense of flow with life. In a sense, it becomes that intuitive sense of knowing that you have, but also first having a foundation of existential awareness before you utilize the idea that you are, or names and sound, and go into that kind of use of that kind of consciousness technology, let's say. I find language to be a technology for consciousness because it alters you. It can make certain things real and certain things less real. And it's as if from the darkness we are pointing out the light of stars, and at the same time, sometimes through our language, we're found on the star and there is no darkness but an emptiness that everything was basking in. I hope that you see that reality is how you are involved in life. And so it is your reality, which is the most crucial one, and which is one wherewith, through its observance, you will gain such a clarity. Because you would see that sometimes you are still associating yourself, or you're still referring to yourself just like you're referring to that friend. In other words, the same amount of intensity you have in communicating with a friend or someone you just meet, let's say, with a stranger or even, is sometimes the same intensive communication you have with yourself, because you don't know, but you're comfortable in maintaining a certain shape of tone. As a student of life, every moment you must walk into great halls of I don't know. And as you step out of those structures, know what's going on. I would like to share a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. And his quote is relevant to this talk, in which we have been talking about the notion of hate. His quote says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." You will see that sometimes when you're found in a dark room trying to get rid of even the things that you know, or trying to logically see what's going on, is as if you're trying to use the same method to get out of the same condition you keep ending up in. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Your reaction to a situation, if it's the same expression as that which created the problem, your problem will be maintained. You will still have a problem. So you must realize that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Only your newest experience of the moment can get rid of the darkness of how your past is defining you as a stationary object, which in a sense, in this infinite cosmos, you are not as a multidimensional being. You will see that hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And so love may come to you as that fluffy glitter in the Disney Channel logo, but you would see that sometimes love, not sometimes, in actuality, love is your most directest relationship. Sometimes love will not be loving and fluffy. Love will be your most hardest and harshest experience, but as you step out of that experience, you will know that you have the love that has gone through chaos, but it is still maintaining its order. You need to raise your awareness. Einstein has a quote that says, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." And if you're not aware of this difference that experience provides you, you will constantly do the same things and trying to add just a little bit of something new, but seeing that your responsibilities cannot get you out of it. You are choosing to be responsible in maintaining your routine. You are also responsible for updating your routine. How often are you updating your routine? Are you updating how often you're exposed to clear information? Are all your ideas up to date? Are all your ideas real to you? Are all your ideas and thoughts on life sincerely what you think? Or has it been theories which have been presented to you, and just because you can communicate them well, you feel good, so that's your truth? Communication must never and can never replace the actuality of an individual being dissolving into its collective. No. These are, of course, it's a subtler understanding. Your externality is still maintained, but it's just your internal dimensions are opening up to a point where you are no longer lost in spectrums that are questioning whether there's something or whether there's nothing. You see that everything is present. You see that you are present. And so your awareness to the present moment is what will enhance your understanding of human experience and human life. For self-awareness was the treasure, the gift that man forgot, but his design would always remember. Regardless of how bad we feel our condition is, in a world that's infinitely changing, everything is not okay, but is comfortably present. There is no longer an okay because it's not condition-based. It is a direct experiential thing in which ideality cannot touch, and never let your untouched self be lost in words that could never fully show it to you. Clarity is found within the moment. Much blessings.